I know that you sort of denigrated English, not denigrated, rejected English as one of the can we find examples in English, where the result is, does change a simple word?
Okay, the question is, is there examples in English where that are also result focused as opposed to method means focused? You know, I'm sure there are. I was just doing this comparatively with French to show that the way a particular word works in your primary language doesn't have to be the same way it works in your common. It can have a different, it can apply all these different aspects and, you know, axes of semantic meaning to it that your L1 does not have, and that's all I'm trying to show you.
What about words like destroy or create? I think those might be examples.
Yeah, where it's you're resulting, the word captures what the resulting state is. Oh no, don't use it as count. Just keep these kinds of ideas in mind is all I'm saying as you go to create a lexicon. Sorry.
What does the symbol above indicate?
That is the word for questions in my conlang is quiz.
I have some things from IRC, from David J. Pedersen.
Oh, our friend David Peterson, our hero from the Game of Thrones world, is asking us a question.
So he provides an example for us, pancake.
Perfect.
Sorry, say it again.
Pancake.
Pancake.
Isn't it great? English allows these verbalizations of nouns to mean all kinds of things. The problem is it's totally haphazard. We were having this discussion last night at the pub where, look, to shoulder something means to support it. So does that mean to hand something means to support it with your hand? No, it means something totally different. And to finger something, different body part, has nothing to do with supporting. So the underlying meaning of what you choose to verbalize is very haphazard in English. Sir, you had to put your head been up for a while.
My EP on top, I don't know. You see that with the interesting method of doing your vocabulary memorization and internalization. You're not just going through a dictionary using flashcards. What exactly are you doing when you're learning French?
When I'm relearning French?
Yeah.
Oh, I use an old, what are those repetition programs called? Like, I don't use
Flashcards?
Yeah, I use those phased repetition things. You have to understand, my purpose is purely tourism.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to fill a bunch of vocabulary items so that when I walk into a store in France or a museum or wherever I am, I can, speak with natives rather than being a stupid American who thinks everyone in the world has to speak English. That's my own.
Okay, gotcha.
In the back.
Yes. Sorry, I'm all in the back. So your bring take analogy for English. Do you think that cognitively what's happening is similar to how English handles come and go?
Well, certainly there's a perspectival issue in there, but is the question is from whose perspective?
Yeah. So do you think that the bring take thing that English is doing is actually a perspective change?
I'd have to think about it, but my gut level answer is probably yes. But what comes to mind from your question is an example I gave in my talk at LCC7, where the example of where the sentence is descending and going up the mountain, where you can say that path climbs steeply out of the valley versus that path descends steeply into the valley. Notice how the meaning of those two words is, on the surface, identical. And the person saying it does not have to necessarily be at the bottom of the path or at the top of the path. They could be either or at a third-party distance looking at the path from across a canyon. So it's not from the speaker's perspective. What the climb steeply out of the valley versus descend steeply is a perspective focusing on the perspective of the person who actually has to make the journey. Are they going to be going down, or are they going to be going up?
So do you think that part of this might be that French is some kind of like maybe imposing in a way? That you have to talk about it from the speaker's point of view?
Imposing? No, I would never use a word like that. That sounds like a strong version of the word.
Mind, and I'm having trouble replacing it with something more appropriate.
I think I'm a believer in the weak version
Yes.
of the warp hypothesis. I think there's a lot of compelling evidence for it.
Yes.
I would say that when you speak French or another Romance languages do this too, there is a tendency toward expressing yourself focused on the resulting state of things, as opposed to what we said. What in our discussion last night? What was the sentence we talked about? The English sentence: "I danced across the room," or "I danced my way across the room." Translate that into most Romance languages, and like in Spanish, you have to say "Atravesé la sala bailando," or in French, "J'ai traversé le salon en dansant." Right. So I crossed the room dancing, is what you're saying. You can't take dance and like pancake turn it into a verb. You know, you can dance, but dance a room, meaning move across it while dancing. Can't do that in a Romance language. So once again, they avoid the idea of the verb expressing the means or method. That's got to be expressed elsewhere in the sentence as a predicate or an adverbial complement or something like that. They're about the actual action itself or resulting state. Now, is this influencing the way they think? Probably a little bit. To what extent does it influence? The fact that they can't understand why English does it the way we do it? No. The Gorf thing is very unique.
That
Pardon?
I meant grammatically, not cognitively.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to make an opinion about grammar as to whether one is superior to the other. They're just different. They're just different. All I'm saying is for your Conlang, you can choose to make it different if you wish. Don't necessarily make it the same as your L1 just because it's the only thing you know, is all I'm saying.
Thank you.
So, are we have time for any more questions?
So in the example you gave about the mountain, that if I remember correctly, the path climbs up easily.
The path climbs steeply out of the valley versus the path descends steeply into the valley. Yeah, same path, person looking at it from far away can be in the same spot. They're saying the same thing, only they're really not saying the same thing.
Well, what I asked, I misunderstood what you said. I thought you were saying that path climbs easily. I was saying, that to me sounded almost kind of like a middle construction in English, but I misunderstood.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is sort of middle voice, isn't it?
It is kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because someone's got to do the climbing.
Yeah, exactly.
A path itself is not a personified object that can climb it. So yeah, it actually is middle voice. Yes.
So one question/comment from IRC for GA4D. They say there's another aspect to this where idiomatic uses can be very idiosyncratic.
Absolutely. Sure. I think we saw that with one of our French examples where it descends into a purely idiomatic construction at that point. But nevertheless, what is the ultimate basis for the metaphor? It's a metaphoric expansion of that same underlying image schematic concept. Other questions? Yes.
I just a comment here is, it seems that there are certain languages, like the Semitic languages, it seems that the division in terms of, viewpoint like Quijada, we know that it's about writing, so you can kind of like get an understanding of it based on, the root pattern.
Yes.
What the exact semantics are. Like, let's just use the valley as let's just revert back in here. Like, to correspond, you would use a particular verb form, and there'd be another form that would be, it still would have something about whiting, but I guess there would be, what is it?
I hate to cut you off, but I'm being ordered to stop.
Okay.
Because we're over time.
Yeah.
So maybe if you want to ask me your question in private once you got it
Yes.
together. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.